Hello, everybody. We're back again, and today is the last day of National Poetry Month that Bart, and actually tell me, Bartholomew or Bart, which do you prefer?
In poetry context, let's stick with Bartholomew.
Gotcha. Okay, Bartholomew. I'm here with him today, and we're going to be talking about certain questions that pertain to him that I'd like to know more about. And he is also somebody who has contributed to the first anthology of the short of it called The Sound of Brilliance. And let's see. On your bio, it says that you're an organizer of, or the organizer of Living
And
Poetry.
I'm
Okay.
one of four or five.
Okay. Wow. That's great that you've got a
Mhm,
lot of people involved in that.
absolutely.
It's a collection of poets in the Triangle region of North Carolina. His first poetry collection, called Wednesday Night Regular, written in strip clubs, and we will be talking about that, by the way, was published in 2013. You want to show us the cover? Ah, very
There
nice,
you
very
go.
nice. His second, called Milkshakes and Chili Dogs, nice. A
Yeah.
chapbook of food-inspired poetry was served up in 2017. You can find out more about him at bartbarkerpoet.com, but I'll have that information in the link too for people who want to search you out. But
Excellent.
you were featured on The Short of It in July of 2020. I'm really glad that you came to us, or to
Yeah.
me, so that I could read your excellent work and then
Yeah.
feature
Thank
you.
you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a wonderful pleasure to read you as well as everybody else. So thank you for being here. And thank you for doing this, because I really had no inclination that this is something that I was going to do, but having met Lisa
Mhm.
and doing the poetry readings with her and doing other things with her anthology Heartbeats, and then also just other poets getting together. We've met a couple of times, and then I also met you
Mhm.
too through, and I'm trying to remember if that was that the Heartbeats one or was that
Yep.
the
Yeah, we did the
coffee table.
Saturday night Heartbeats reading together.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And
It
so
was.
I thought, you know what? I like what she did, and I like the idea of getting to know the people that I'm working with more, but
Mhm.
also just to promote and, help people understand what the Sound of Brilliance is. But it's mostly just about, I want to get to know the poets better. I want to know who they are and why they're
That's
part of my family now.
that's a dangerous thing to do, just to get to know poets better.
No,
I'm
that's
not sure
the
that's a good idea.
no, 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 no. I disagree with you.
That's
I
like
like
that's
it.
that's like wanting to meet a duck because you like pate.
Are you trying to say I'm serving you up for dinner?
I'll leave all inferences to you.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here because it was a joy to meet you to begin with, and now to see you again is great. So now I get to ask you all these intimate questions. No, they're not that intimate. Don't worry. Um, the first question, though, is how very interesting that you wrote your first poetry collection in a strip club or strip clubs. What inspired you to do that? By any chance?
Well, strip clubs are very inspiring for me, and I
Okay.
still, well, I haven't for the last year, but before that, I was still writing in clubs mostly.
Okay.
That's where I get most of the raw material. And
Okay.
it's not, and it's, and as you've read on my blog, it's, I don't only write about strippers,
Oh, I know. I know.
but it's one of those things where that gets my creative juices flowing. If you'll
Okay.
excuse me. Yeah.
Okay. Keep it clean.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes with me. Again, I'm glad we're recording this on video. You can edit me out, or you can bleep me if things get
Well,
out of control there.
I will tell you that what I'm editing out is the problem with my camera. So again, keep it clean
Okay, I'll do my best.
because we're live.
Mhm. And so it's something where I feel inspired there. I mean, maybe it's just the wine, but I
Could
don't think
be.
so, because I drink at home too.
Hmm.
But it's something where I'll sit there and take notes in my book,
Okay.
and then come home, and over the week I'll transcribe them and turn them into poetry.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to go dig a little deeper into that book because
Mhm.
it looked like it was a fascinating um, subject matter. Number one, why
I
not?
certainly think so. Yeah.
And it's just it was eye-catching for me, so I think I'm gonna have to. But also the second one, Milkshakes and Chili Dogs
Mhm.
chapbook. I was like, okay, the title grabs you right from the
Good,
get-go. So
good.
how or who led you to do that?
So I wrote a lot of food poetry,
Okay.
Just, it's one of those things where if you're not feeling inspired, but you still have to write something.
Mm,
Everybody eats just about every day. And
mm.
so I got inspired of that. And as I was sort of hunting around, trying to think what my next book should be, I was talking to my mother and she said, I really like your food poems.
Oh, cool.
And so I looked through my files, was like, wow, I had just about had a chapbook already done. I only had to add a couple more and
Okay.
then threw it together.
All right. Again, another interesting book I might have to look up so that I can understand your
Yeah.
material a little bit better, and figure out what inspires you and why.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, yeah, I get it that, we eat every day and it's a good
Hmm.
subject, but I'm curious if you've turned that into metaphors for life or if it's just observations about the subject matter.
Yes, both.
Both. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Well, I look forward to digging into that. So tell me what started you on your journey with writing and has it been fulfilling for you?
So I first published a poem back in high school,
Okay.
in my high school journal. And it's a fine little poem. And I wrote off and on, but I didn't take it seriously.
Okay.
I would write, I would be creative. I was thinking more about trying to become more of a short story to move into novels. I had, the idea of these, epic stories in my head that
Mhm.
I thought I'd be able to get onto paper. And then about 11 years ago now, I got divorced for the second time.
Mhm.
And as part of working through that trauma, and trauma for a divorce, while it is technically a trauma, I don't want to minimize, more serious traumas that other people have to deal with. But, coming out of trauma, a lot of people will grasp onto poetry.
Mhm.
Just the act of writing,
Mhm.
just the act of thinking and trying to put these feelings into words organizes and dispels the chaos of life.
Mhm.
And so I started writing, but then I found Living Poetry,
Yeah.
which is the poetry group, which I'm now nominally in charge of, but it's really a collective, very decentralized.
Okay.
And they encouraged me. They said, hey, this is actually good stuff. So, for instance, I do a monthly workshop on living poetry, and I've been doing
Mhm.
that for about 10 years. And you can tell some people that are coming in that are the brand new poets, they're working through a trauma,
Mhm.
and they bring us raw, cathartic poems, which in a lot of ways aren't really that good.
Mhm.
We try to craft them, we try to help, but a lot of people are just there to get over the trauma
Mhm.
of whatever trauma they're dealing with. And we help them through that. And usually they move on.
Yeah.
But some poems stick. We just keep working at it. In one of the poems I wrote this month, I think I analogize it. Poets we're picking at a scab. We won't let it heal.
Mhm. You know, um, you just made me think of something. I'll have to come back to it because I quite figured out how I want to ask you this. But when you say trauma, though, uh, or you say that trauma, divorce maybe isn't a good word, but it is a trauma
It
because
is.
trauma is life altering.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when your reality shifts, it is life altering.
Mm-hmm.
So I would disagree with you when you said that,
Yeah.
it's not a
It,
trauma. It is.
it's one. I agree. It is. I've
Yeah.
done it twice. I recognize it, but at the same time, it is a very different trauma from grief at losing a
Oh,
loved
yeah.
one, a very different, especially a different trauma losing a child, for instance,
Yeah.
or a different trauma that you had as a child.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's definitely one of the gentler traumas that we get
Yeah.
as human beings.
So maybe the level of severity isn't as
Right.
bad, but
Right.
I would definitely say, yeah, because
Hmm.
that's when trauma is something that we all have to go through. You
Right.
have to feel the feelings. You have to, make peace with, whoever caused them,
Hmm.
or, even if it's yourself, you have to really recognize what you've, done in that in order to kind of go over it. When you said that the incoming people or the incoming writers is because they need to just kind of purge that. Do you feel that a lot of the things that you've produced are coming from a place of having to deal, because you mentioned with your second divorce,
Mhm.
but is it only from from that trauma that you need to still work through it, or is it something that's settled for you and you're just able now to put it on paper?
Right. That it's the second, definitely.
Okay.
You know,
All
you
right.
get, I got into poetry because of the trauma. Poetry helped me sort through, order it,
Okay.
I made some decent poetry out of it. But I found that I also had that talent for poems, for
Mm-hmm.
poetry. And so I was able to continue. And so now I don't need to be traumatized
Mm-hmm.
to write. I don't need to have that, that the chaos to write. I can write even when feeling ordered.
Hmm. That's interesting because I've asked a lot of people this question too, because I feel like with my journey, I feel like I had all the trauma
Mhm,
and specifically with my dysfunctional family. But
mhm.
it feels like the reason that I was able to write about it was because I had already gone through it, dealt with it, was finished. And now it's good to just, be able to either acknowledge it that it
Mhm.
happened or be maybe an inspiration to somebody or address a topic that we know is universal. But it doesn't, there's no more lingering, you know.
You've been able to process all that through.
Yeah,
You got it kind of as figured out as you can. And
right.
maybe we barely know each other, so I'm not going to
Hmm.
speculate on the
It's
source
okay.
of your dysfunctional trauma. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, maybe as a child, you really weren't able to even articulate it, much
Oh,
less write it down and be able to sort through it at that age.
absolutely not. And I think that's primarily the reason my blog is called I Write Her, because I was never really heard when I was younger. So, I mean, I didn't get into writing until I was my late 40s. And um, I think that I see like what you just said about, being able to just purge and get it out and all. I see that happening a lot on like the new blogs that I
Yes.
start either following or that I read through other people.
Mhm.
And they don't last. I forget I think I was telling Lisa this, that about 30% of the ones that I see on the scene new, they don't, they put out 3 or 4 posts and then they're gone again.
Mhm.
Maybe they'll come back in a year, maybe they won't. I don't know. It just depends. But so it was
Yeah, I mean,
interesting for
hope,
me.
yeah, we hope
Yeah.
that they're processing things and they're
Hmm.
getting settled and getting back on with life, and they don't need poacher anymore. Just
Right.
it sloughs off like a scab.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, tell you, it's funny because when I first started my own writing journey, I never in a million years would have thought I'd end up in poetry. Never. That's like my early stuff is more like my blog was called Susie's Soapbox because I wanted to rant and rave. And it wasn't even poetry. It was just blah,
Yep,
about things that pissed me off.
yep,
But
just screeds, and there are a lot of blogs like that too. They get
mhm.
a lot more hits than our poetry blogs do, I think.
Sadly. But anyway, so that's me. That we're not here to talk about me, damn it. We're supposed to be talking about
Oh,
you.
are you sure you got that right? I thought I was interviewing you.
No, no, that's
No?
next
Oh,
time. You're going to
oh,
do me
sorry.
next time. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. I understand that you were born and raised in Ohio.
Mhm.
I was very fortunate to spend a lot of summers in Cambridge, Ohio. And that's where
Oh,
my
okay.
dad was born and raised. I guess my question to you is, do you miss it? Or were you destined to be someone who seems to be a well-traveled person from what
I'm
I've.
definitely, yeah, well traveled. Ohio is a great place to be from.
Hmm.
I do kind of miss it, but I think I more miss childhood.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
yeah, you're probably right.
yeah,
We had some good summers there, and I remember fishing a lot too because we had a
yeah.
creek that was close by to where my aunt lived, and I enjoyed it. Had fun with my cousins there. And the
Yeah,
crickets at night. That's why I love the
oh,
crickets because of those summers in Ohio. Oh, those
hmm,
those hot, smoldery, just moist summers. They were
yeah,
wonderful.
humid. Yeah, and then the thunderstorms that come through at sunset.
Yeah, because we had
A
nothing but
blast.
fields out front of the house. It was
Hmm.
great. It was gorgeous.
So you could really watch them. You could really watch them rolling in, like
Yeah.
seeing that. Oh yeah, it's great fun.
Or when we used to get in the back of a pickup truck,
Hmm.
and because my or not my grandfather, my uncle had a what do you call it? Oh God, now I can't think. I'm a writer, can't think of the word. He had like a newspaper magazine store.
Okay.
I mean, it was just like local papers and
Mhm.
different magazines and stuff. And I remember we used to get in the back of this pickup truck and then ride over to my other aunt, Aunt Ruth, or not
Mhm.
Aunt Ruth, excuse me, Aunt Jane. That's her name. God, I
Okay.
haven't seen most of this family in a long time. But anyway,
Oh,
she had a horse farm. So
oh, nice.
imagine that. Beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
lots of land. It was just gorgeous. So I
Yeah, and the
put
horse
in the
farms,
back
you
of
get the
my
nice green grass there growing. It's not,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I was more in the cornfield area, which was, lovely green, but it got tall enough that it was hard to see over. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I had a creek in my backyard and
Nice.
nice woods that I would spend just, I'd spend most days unsupervised, just,
Mhm.
running wild in the woods.
Yeah.
It was
We
great
used to
fun.
go to the gravel pits too. And I remember one time I fell down one and my cousin tried to get me out of it. It was hilarious. And we swore we saw a UFO that night. Imagination ran wild in Cambridge. It was awesome.
That's
But yeah, it was fun. It was really neat to find out that you were raised in Cambridge. Can I ask what city you came from?
I came from Wilmington, so
Oh,
more the
nice.
southwestern area, about halfway between Cincinnati and Columbus.
Well, my family was in Cambridge and Zanesville.
Okay.
Those two cities.
Yeah,
So
so you're more on the eastern side, but yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
it was so nice. It was a great place.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
This question is something I have asked every single poet because I really am
Okay.
curious, because that was part of my journey too. It took me a while to figure out what I really liked, and obviously the short of it is
Mhm.
what came out of it is because I like the short, sweet, structured, kind of tight writing. But
Yeah.
what is your favorite poetry style? I mean, I know you contributed to the short of it, but is there something different you might prefer?
No, that's definitely my
Is
preference.
it?
Yeah, free verse, short,
Mhm.
punchy, brevity.
Mhm.
I think that's important. I see a lot of poems that are, I think, 2 to 3 times too long. They've got a good kernel in there that all you have to do is edit it down.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that probably the ideal length for a poem is about a sonnet.
Yeah.
14 lines or so is just
Mhm.
about right. You can say everything you need. You can get a turn in there, and off you go. What else do
Yeah.
you need? It's
Yeah,
just
and a punch, the punch at the
yes.
end, I think if you can get all that in probably 14 or 10 lines less, I think you've
Mhm,
got it. I
absolutely.
would agree with you. And that's why you're on the short of it.
Exactly. We're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah. Although it's funny because I know a lot of people that write long that I really do
Mm,
enjoy their writing because they have a very good storytelling capability. So I like those kinds of poets too, and I'd love to read them. I can't write like them because I just
mm,
don't. Well, let me put it this way. It's not that I can't. I think I can, but I don't
mhm.
want to. I like the short and the sweet, but I like to read other people that
Yeah.
can. Check out this. I don't know if I posted it yet. I I think no, it's coming Sunday maybe.
Okay.
It's by Marianne Moore called Poetry. When I
Okay.
post that, read that one and tell me what you think because I'm really curious what other
Mhm.
people got from that. Um, that's my
Yeah,
next
but so
question.
like I feel like I do write longer pieces, but
Mhm.
usually I think of those as being more things for performing in an open mic.
Oh yeah,
A
that's
a lot of the short punchy poems don't really go over as well in open mic settings
mhm,
because you usually have a set where you're trying to fill 5 minutes, and a
right.
bunch of them I think it doesn't work as well as one long, more narrative piece. So
True.
I've got several of those, but I rarely end up posting them on the blog.
Mhm. I I don't know. I don't know. I think it just
Yeah,
depends on what you're in the mood for too.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about the Living Poetry organization in North
Yeah,
Carolina.
so it's a great collection of poetry lovers. It was started about 11 years ago
Mhm.
by a lady named Angelica Teuber.
Mhm.
She moved to Raleigh and didn't have any friends
Mm.
and thought, well, what am I interested in? I'm interested in poetry. I'll get on this meetup.com and I will just post and make a little poetry group and maybe have a couple people come over. We can talk poetry, something like that. So she did that, posted and within a week she had like 40 or 50 people signing up. There
Wow.
was such a demand for it. And so it was something that just totally blew her away. So she started off just doing like poetry brunches, go to one of the local cafes, sit outside in the summer, read poetry to each other, talk about it. And then we started doing workshops and we started, doing open mics. We will, again, so much has been moved virtually that a lot of it's not applicable, though we're starting to come out of the pandemic. So we will once again be meeting in person to do things like we'd go to a museum, wander around the museum, and then afterwards write about some of the things, or write while we're sitting in front of paintings or sculptures. There's a lovely place. I live in Hillsborough, North Carolina. There's a lovely place called Air Mount, which is an old colonial era building house, and they have huge grounds. And there's something called the Poet's Walk, where it's just about a mile long trail that goes through, goes down to a river and then back. And that's a great place to, we would just do that little hike, write some poetry, read it, just a way to get together as poets and just talk about, both being poets, talk about poetry. And you make a lot of good friends that way. It's been a real social thing, as well as improving my poetry. I mean, I wouldn't be the poet I am now without living poetry.
Yeah, that's something we don't have here so much. We have a local community, but fortunately, I should say that it's a little bit different. I think how do I put this? I'm originally from the East Coast.
Mhm.
And I have a different mindset than most of the people in Red, Kansas have. So I'm not quite accepted. Let me put it that way,
Sure.
and mildly. Um, so I think the poets that are here are very nostalgic,
Okay.
and I can't think like that when I have a mindset that's more progressive and liberal. So it's very difficult to get on the same page with somebody, even though we have the same enjoyment out of the craft. I just clash.
Yeah.
So for
How
me,
big, how
it's
big, how big a metro area are you in?
small. I live in a very rural town, so it's
Okay.
about 900 people. And
Oh,
then our
wow.
closest city is about 13,000, I think. But even that it's
Yeah. I
it,
think you really need to be in a metro area where you're getting up close to 1 million people to, I think, really successfully have a good poetry group together where you can refresh yourself with the people that, come in and come out.
right. I would agree with you,
Yeah.
sadly, but
Yeah.
that's
How
okay.
far to Kansas City?
It's about 3 hours, 3.5 hours from
That's
me.
probably too far to drive regularly.
Yeah, regularly I wouldn't. I mean, even our closest big city is Wichita, and that's about an hour south of us. And even that sometimes, I mean,
Mhm.
we have gone, but I mean, obviously with COVID, it's
Sure.
difficult to really have a extracurricular social life. So we haven't done that so much, but that's
Yeah.
okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I have the internet and I get to talk to wonderful people like
That's
you,
right.
so I'm
And
good.
that distance has disappeared in the last year. So now it's, there'll
If
be lots of
anything,
events.
yeah, if anything, it's just gotten better because now I'm able to reach out to more people. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we got to do the book because
Mhm.
I've you're the 11th interview, which is awesome. So I get to talk to everybody about,
Mhm.
what we did together. So I'm really happy
Mhm.
and jazzed about that.
Yeah.
And I know that actually I had somebody email me recently and wanted to be interviewed too. Just, hey. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's something else I need to do. I can do interviews of other people and I can have different topics. And
Why
so
not?
I get to meet more people. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I
Yeah.
just think it's a really cool,
Mhm.
and I just thank Lisa for
Mhm.
starting me off on that
Yeah.
because when she did it initially, I was like, can I? Should I? I don't know. Yeah. So here we
Yeah.
are. We're
But
doing
I
the
mean, now that you're part of the Living Poetry Meetup group, you're on meetup.com, you're Living
right.
Poetry, you can sign up for one of my workshops.
Okay.
We can work together now.
Well, what does a workshop do? That's another thing I've never done
So,
before. So tell
so
me
I
more
actually,
about
I
that.
actually just had one last night. So the
Okay.
idea is we have, when we're doing online, we limit it to 6 poets. Each submit one poem, no
Mm-hmm.
more than a page.
Mm-hmm.
And we get all those poems in and submitted. So we have it on Thursday nights, get the poem submitted by Sunday night. So you've got like almost 4 days where you sit there and you review your poem, review everybody else's poem, you sort of like take notes on it.
Okay.
And then we get together on Thursday night and we say, okay, just go in turn. We go around the virtual room, everybody giving your review. So, you you just tell people what you liked about the poem, what parts really worked for you,
Mhm.
make a few suggestions, what parts didn't quite work for you, or either you were confused in bits, so they get that feedback to know what's what's good in the poem, what they need to work on.
Okay.
And it's how you, in my opinion, that's the best way to improve poetry.
Okay.
There
Well,
are,
that's something I've never done. I haven't tried it,
it's,
but
I,
it
ca- I
might be
can't,
worth something pursuing.
yeah,
So,
I can't recommend it strongly enough. I mean, we are, there's only one Emily Dickinson per generation who can
yeah.
sit there and write in isolation and produce a masterworks. The
Yeah.
rest of us, we got to work at it,
Oh, I
and we
agree.
got to work together.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay. Well, next time you have one, just
go to the Living Poetry on meetup.com like you already are. We do it every. I think actually next month is already full, but we're
okay.
looking at adding some more workshops.
Okay.
Even now,
I'm
we're
gonna
trying to
make
get more.
I'm gonna make myself a note to do that.
Cool.
Just maybe participate
And
with
now
that.
I'll see what I can do I'll see what I can trigger in my own memory to say, hey, Susie.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the reason is because my head's just been really in this space
Yeah.
because I needed to get it done. And now just to do the poet interviews, I needed to get
Yeah,
through those. And then I've
absolutely. You
got
got a
some
lot
other
going on.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that's not even the half of it. The other part I'm gonna start doing too, because you know about the 5-day tales that I've got on my blog, which is the short stories once a month. And there's a new beta program that KDP is doing where I self-publish the Sound of Brilliance. It short stories. So I'm going to put them on there too. So
Very cool.
I've got a lot going on. But that's okay. I'd rather be busy than non-busy because who wants to be bored? I don't like to be bored. But that's
I can't remember the last time I was bored.
Mm-mm.
It's just there's so much going on, so much to do.
Yeah.
There's always more I got to work on.
Yeah. I've been sick, but I'm not bored.
Did you get the COVID?
Oh yeah. Well, no. I didn't get COVID. I got the COVID
good.
shot, and that's the.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we rescheduled because of that. How did you do with the second shot?
I did okay. I actually got it on Tuesday. I was fine until Wednesday about 4 o'clock, and then all of a sudden, fever, chills, backache. Took some acetaminophen and went to bed, slept through the night, and was fine the next day. So yay, it was perfect. I mean, I'd rather go through that than COVID. So it worked out okay. I'm good. And hopefully now life can finally return. I texted all my friends and said, let's get together because they're all safe. They've already gotten the shot.
Oh,
so
yeah,
now
you're all set.
Yay!
Very good. Very good.
So I can't wait. But anyway, we're not supposed to be talking about me, Barb.
I thought I was interviewing you.
No.
No, I keep getting confused about it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So Susie, tell me more about
Okay. From your website, I'm quoting you, poets lie all the time, but there are some truths only poetry can tell. I'm finding in my conversations with the poets, these past couple of weeks, that we do value the truth very, very much. Why do you think that is?
That's an interesting why do we value the truth? It's almost, for me, that's axiomatic. I want to know the truth. I want to understand reality as best I can with my monkey brain. And there are objective truths that we can figure out. And so I want to know those things. But they're also poetic truths.
Okay, explain that. Explain poetic truths. What's the difference between a truth and a poetic truth?
The earth revolves around the sun. Is a truth. The earth rotates on an axis. The planet revolves around the sun. It is not a flat earth where the sun moves around and the earth is still. I would call that a true truth.
Okay.
I still love my ex-wives. Even though I don't live with them, I haven't talked to them in years. That's more of a poetic truth.
Okay.
And that's something that can't be objectively determined. And it's obviously not
It's
true
an
for
in-here
everyone.
thing.
It's an in-here, yeah. And
Mhm.
sometimes in order to be able to express those truths, you have to lie or make, it's called poetic license. You have to make stuff up sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I
Okay.
use the word stuff there instead of another word.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Mhm.
I was just curious about that because I feel the same way. I feel like most of the poets are really always trying to get at the essence of something.
Right.
It can be told in a mysterious way. It can be told in a flat out direct way,
Mhm.
but it is always at getting at the essence of something. So,
Right. Well, yeah, a lot of times it's in order to to get to those truths with poetry, it's easier to come at it backwards
mhm,
in order to get that punch at the end to surprise so that people don't just understand the truth, they feel it
mhm.
more strongly.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I did some rapid fire questions with a couple other of the
Okay.
poets, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Lightning
It was
round.
better than,
Good.
yeah, it was a little different
I
from
when
the,
I when I was in high school, I was on the quiz team, so I'm ready.
you're
I,
okay. It's
yeah,
just,
I need a buzzer. Okay.
it's just three questions.
Okay.
Um, Ice cream or chocolate?
Why not both?
Good answer. Okay. Beach or the city?
City, definitely.
Okay. Exercise or sleeping?
Sleeping.
Yes.
Those aren't hard. Those are easy questions.
I know, it's why I told you it's easy, quick, rapid fire questions. And I thought they were fun because they do, you know, you can get really serious too when
Mhm.
when you're talking about, things that even if they're interesting, it's nice to lighten it up every now and then. And I like to do that. So,
Good.
anyway, please tell me which poem you decided to read for us tonight, and I would encourage you to read it now. You've
Okay.
got the podium.
Yeah, thank you. So I wanted
You're
to read
welcome.
Holding On,
Excellent.
which again is one that was inspired in my strip club.
Okay.
So this is dedicated to Iris.
Okay.
As the soft skin of your leg conceals the strength of your thigh, I lean in close to hear your voice, quiet as dandelion seeds in autumn, with words powerful as a storm. Hand in hand, enjoying your perfume, your mouth and eyes straighten, no longer curved like the rest of you. I don't want to relax my grip, but no, I can't clutch onto my desire without losing that which I hold most dear.
Hmm. What are you losing in that?
Oh, what do you think I'm losing in that?
I don't know. What I would take away from that is that you might be losing your desire because if her gaze is serious
Mhm.
and the curve is inviting, that's what I would think you would lose.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But what was your interpretation, or what was your purpose for stating it like that?
I don't know.
Just came. Okay.
I just write the poems. I don't know what they mean.
Okay. Bartholomew, it was a pleasure
Yes, thank you very much for
to
having me,
see
Susie.
you again. And
Yeah,
again, let's do this again. 2 years, 2022 is when we're going to do this again.
fair
Uh,
enough.
I really appreciate you participating. And I'm so glad I got to meet you. Not just through, and I thank Lisa for that because she's the one
Yeah,
that connected us to begin with. But to be able to do this on this platform, I think is really fun too.
yeah, it's
So,
been a blast. So thank you very much. And thank you again for the Sound of Brilliance and the short of it on the blog and helping
well,
to promote the good, brief poetry. It's great
if
stuff.
it wasn't for you guys, it would never have happened. So,
I think we
thank
can
you.
argue that point.
Okay. Thanks, Bartholomew. It was really
Yeah.
nice to see you again.
Thank you very much, Susie. Good night.
Have a good night.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.